One of the more surreal experiences, I'm standing in open heart surgery. But thankfully, because I'm standing, I'm not the one who's getting surgeoned. But I get to watch the Cleveland Heart Clinic use a chainsaw to open up a guy's chest. They crack his ribs open. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they put some bypass leads into his chest, or they basically replace the valves with plastic that takes the blood into a dialysis machine. And they effectively turn this human off, and this machine runs his heart for a while. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, it's a religious experience. I swear to God, the first 10 minutes, it's kind of, they're just bopping out. They got music on. They're sawing this guy open. They're just doing regular everyday shit.
It's like a horror movie.
You and me cut film for a living, and these guys cut humans. It is what it is. They got music on in the back. They're drinking a coffee. All right, knock yourself out. Anyway, and then it gets serious because they put the dialysis on, and long as that goes and his blood pressure stays up, but it starts to get a little real. And that's when I realized this human is effectively dead, but they're keeping him alive, and they've got a clock running from the moment that he goes on dialysis, and the clock starts. And then they start to replace the valves in his heart because he's doing triple bypass surgery. And I'm watching this just like in awe, and I'm legitimately having a religious experience because I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, I don't believe in God, Yahweh, Allah, whatever. Like, I'm sure there's something, but I don't think we can grasp it. But I'm sitting there at that moment going, whatever it is, bravo, that you've developed us to be able to do this to ourselves. Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I watch this happen, and I'm just caught up in the moment. And at about I think it's about 30 or 40 minutes, the clock's running. They're like, okay, cool, we're done here. Let's get him back off dialysis. We'll stitch him up, and then off we go. I don't know if the stitching happened before I guess it has to happen beforehand. Anyway, the order is not relevant. It's more about the fact that as they bring him off dialysis and they bring him back to, okay, now he's controlling his own body again, his blood pressure doesn't come up. And the joviality that had basically been present the whole time, they're talking about their kids and what's happening at school, and did you see Cleveland win the other night? Like, it's just a regular day at the office for them, cutting open another human. And then it becomes a not regular day at the office because this person's blood pressure doesn't come up. And all of a sudden people get quiet, the radio gets turned off, don't know who did it, but someone knew to do it. And the anaesthetist is at bat. It is his job to save this human now. Everything else is irrelevant. And you can see he's becoming visually affected by, he knows he's the man, and if something goes wrong here, it's on him. And at that time, he could be, he's been well trained, right? So it's not like, I would think that he's relatively on autopilot at this point, but this is not a normal surgery. And at that point, he could go into barking at a nurse who talks over the top of him, which happened. He didn't bark though. He just tugged a tight leash. And he could go quickly through his checklist, but he was methodical. And he had actions that were clearly A, defined, and B, trained, so that he just went through them trusting that process and being very clear that if I do these things, I'm giving this human the best chance to live. Rather than panic stations, this isn't going how it should be. My emotions are telling me to fucking do something special, but in reality, you shouldn't do something special. Do what you know you should do. And that is probably the most life or death example I can give that I've seen from 2 meters away, where I was affected by what's going on. I'm like, fuck, I might see a man die here. This is not nice. I didn't come for this. I didn't pay for this ticket. But the person who was at the center of it was likely feeling some shit too, but went about their business methodically. And thankfully, Joe Smith or whoever the patient was lived to see another day. Got through it. They got him up. Everyone clapped their hands. Music went back on. Stitched him up. Out he goes. Bring the next patient in. Fucking phenomenal.
That's crazy. So, I mean, what I'm hearing there is you need to have the systems in place prior to, because if you don't, you're cooked.
Yeah, you're more likely to be cooked. Sometimes you can pull one out your ass or rabbit out the hat if you want. And that's part of what talented people do is they have an innate sense of, if I do this, maybe this answers the question. But oftentimes, to the examples I gave before, where if the referee is the problem that's stopping you, has that happened before? Yes. Will it happen again? Yes. Why do you not have a system in place for dealing with a bad referee? Weather, bus being late, all these things that can go wrong. And the best examples of how this is done well are military or, usually when life or death's involved. Because if you fuck up, someone dies, it's a little more critical than, our bus broke down and we only had 10 minutes to warm up and so we played like shit.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen that often, but surely you've got a plan to handle that, right?
Yeah.
And good teams at least have individuals on there who can take control in those moments and they're like, hey, here's what we're going to do. Everyone just follow me.